Hi, this segment addresses family values um, for the single parent family. Don't get me wrong, single parent families uh, is through all different classes of humans, from the elite all the way down to the poverty. But the amount of single parents lies more in the middle class than it does the elite, rich, and even the poverty level is greater than the middle class. So this is due to generation after generation of having a single parent family. There's a lot of different issues to be addressed within a family. And what we want to do is introduce a fix for the single parent family, or at least give you suggestions so you could have a better idea, or maybe bring some new ideas into your head about what needs to be done in order to correct this. Because, I'm second generation myself, and I've seen a lot of flaws, I've seen a lot of changes, I've done a lot of psychological research, through well known doctors, and I went through mentoring programs and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, I'm pretty well knowledgeable, just like anybody who lives the life, is really knowledgeable. But the majority of us who live the life refuse to comment on the life or admit the negativities that's going on within their lives or within their families. And they just brush it aside, thus being carried on to the next generation. In order to raise a family with siblings that's well rounded and eventually to become productive citizens, you need family structure. And if the father's not around to help with that structure, then you got a major problem on your hands. Um, this is something that we need to change. And I do see it change. Don't get me wrong. I've seen the change. I've seen the change slowly coming about within the younger generation, the younger adults, I should say. They're being a bit more responsible, stuff like that. But we do have things that hold us back, from being all that we can be. For instance, for one example is the negativity in these hip hop songs. Beach this and that, or whatever, you want to add to the negativity within it, or make this money and get rich, bling, bling, bling type stuff, it's all about that part is all about keeping you negative in life. See, this is a world of thought and matter. It's thought over matter. Whatever you think and hear repeatedly, you actually start living and want to try out, thus keeping you in a negative realm of life where you should be positive, you know, um, being a part of society is a major thing in achieving that goal. You know, so there's a lot of negative stuff That's just one issue. There's a lot of negative stuff that holds us back and stops us from coming out of our comfort zone. Fear is another thing. Fear of change. What is my friends or family members going to think of me if I stand up and do what's right? What are they going to think? Oh, they're going to down me. Blip de blap de blue. That's all part of life. That's all part of changing. That's all part of being. And you're going to get that from the negative individuals. I've lived my life. I've done my dirt. And coming out of that dirt, I had to shake my friends that was negative, because all they were doing was hold me back. And you don't need negative people around you in order to make the change. There's a lot of things in being a responsible parent that needs to be done. And changing the environment from a negative to a positive one in the family's household is something that needs to be done. It is probably the first step. Well, not the first step, but first step is changing yourself. Second step is changing your household situation as to where it's positive for the kids. Whatever negativity that you have, you teach your kids, do this, do that, because we hardcore, cussing around them was a prime example. Constantly cussing around them. Sure, you flash back and say, oh, when the babies, above toddler age, and actually start speaking and mimicking your actions, and they embarrass you a couple times in public by cussing out loud and feeling what you give them when you're at home alone in your private life. They come back in the public life and embarrass you because they cussing or acting wild or unruly. That's because you're permitted at home. That's where you are at home. These things, that's just one example out of many that needs to be addressed. These things need to be changed. That's a negative issue. It needs to be changed. Another thing, I want to get into family values. I want to get into raising the kids. Go to our website, eisi.org, and we'll go ahead and show you a lot of different ways of dealing with kids. To address things real easy, actually, to make a quick scenario of this is when a child is in the woman's stomach. Okay, a lot of mothers, especially, if they're trying to not be a well-rounded mother, subconsciously, you wasn't raised in a well-rounded atmosphere, or if you was, you hung around with individuals who wasn't well-rounded and who was hard-headed, narrow-minded, and negative about life. If you want your child to be well-rounded, you have to nurture it while it's in your stomach. You gotta read to it. You gotta give it math. Flashcards, for example, is one. You gotta be positive, because however you feel when you're pregnant, and whatever you do when you're pregnant, actually goes into the baby's subconscious brain. It's a proven fact. Okay? Now, after the baby's born and becomes a toddler, then they start mimicking your actions. And once they embarrass you in public, which it will have to happen, and I got witnesses out there, then you try to make a change. And really, it's not that late to do that. because they're toddlers. They're still in the mind forming stage. So you need to uh, quit cussing around them, quit being negative. Help them out. Be more aggressive. The main thing you give your kid at any stage of their life is your time and your attention. They'll bind with you. They'll confide in you. They will remember the good times, even though they were poor. They will remember the good times because you was there for them and confiding in them and there as a mental support for them. The reason why kids stray away from the family situation or get so rebellious within the family is because they're not getting the love and the attention that they deserve. You know, a lot of young folks don't realize, especially the elder teenagers, don't realize that raising a family is really expensive. Not only expensive, but it's a mental challenge. Because you gotta be so repetitive. You gotta get this for the baby, you gotta get that for the baby, you gotta all for the baby. You know? And it gets, you gotta cut your friendships. You can't go out and party because, you can't pass your mama. If you're lucky enough to have a mother to babysit while you gotta go to work, or whatever to make ends meet. Or have a family that will take you in and give you the family support. A lot of people don't have that. And in order for an individual that doesn't have that, it's going to be real hard. Because family support is a lot. It takes a lot of burden off you, even though you don't realize it because you're living it in a day-to-day situation, But the care that they give you, the financial support or just timely support that they give, verbal support, is that all adds up to a big deal. And how the kid actually comes out, So there's a big difference with... don't disassociate yourself with your family. Even though, you got a man out there that thinks he knows it all, blip de blop de blue, and all you want to do is please him, at the cost of your babies. Miss me with all that. Your babies is number one. Raising them to be well-rounded is number two. So if Papa ain't doing right, I was one of them weekend parents, and I wasn't doing right. You got to disc them, straight up. I'm being honest with myself. I'm being honest with you. These are the proper steps you have to take in order to, succeed in having a well-rounded child. Grow up to be somebody in this social world. Not going to prison, not being whatever. Most families want that out of their children, expect that out of their children, to be better than them, to be achieving more than what they have achieved. And in order to get there, you need a well-rounded individual as a child. And that means being positive in every aspect of life. Time's running short, but from the toddler age, from the time they're in your stomach up to, throughout their elementary days, you need to sit down and read to them and have them read to you when they're of age. There's nothing wrong with teaching them the ABCs when they're 1 year old, 2 years old. When you see a kid that doesn't know their ABCs when they're 2 years old, the parent's slipping. Straight up, the parents slipping. If they're not diaper trained when they're 2 years old, it's all on the parent. They're not doing their job. So the kid will listen to you. All you need to do is spend time. And I know I got a lot of witnesses out there. that will back me up 100%. Plus, there's also so much scientific research that's been done and stuff like that. That's where I got a lot of my information, and as well as living the life. But as the kids grow up, you gotta change. You gotta make changes in your rules. You gotta make changes in your uh, attitudes. You gotta make changes as they change. And it doesn't get any easier when they're teenagers. If you don't live a positive life when they're in from babyhood to childhood, to elementary school, don't live a positive life, you're gonna have one headache on your hands because they're gonna be a rebellious teenager. They're gonna think of you as a niche. They're gonna say freak you, and all that because they rolling with whomever. They're not getting the love that he's supposed to be getting from you. So they find it somewhere else who is on the street and who is living a negative life. If you be calling, if the kids' parents be saying, bitch, and being, that they see their father disrespecting their mother, they're gonna raise up to be the same way. All that needs to be squashed. It really does. In order to have a well-rounded kid that's going to live a positive life, one better than you. The way society is, they got to be well-rounded in order to get anywhere. If they're narrow-minded and negative, they're going to get on. They might be, lucky to get a halfway decent job, which is expected in the teens and in the early adulthood's halfway decent job, but they're going to mess it up because of the way they were raised, because of the negativity. Rather than sitting there and realizing, okay, I got to do this job, this ain't nothing but a stepping stone, they're going to say, freak you, you two, you didn't, and they're going to walk out on the job. I've seen it so many times. It's happening all the time because they're so rebellious. And whatever you do at the home is going to be his L for you because they're going to have the same attitude and they're going to treat you as they've been taught to treat people. I don't care if you're your mama. If you're their mama, you're going to be called the biznitch. And then the older they get in the teens, they're not going to keep it in the household. If you confront them out in public, they're going to down you in public. They're not behind closed doors, which is embarrassing enough. So it's all about family value. So read the material below. We have a lot of good stuff going on, and the issue needs to be addressed. The fathers need to step on up and be more positive with their kids. I see it slowly happening in the fast world, in the hip-hop world. But it needs to be more. The soldiers in the hip-hop world need to come on, step on up like the leaders do. The leaders in the hip-hop world, they see this. They understand this. They live this. That's why they leaders. But all you followers, you need to step on up and actually live the positive life. I ain't telling you what to do in your life. Making money is one thing, and that's a whole different subject here. All I'm talking about is making a productive kid that can address things and hold a job and realize that, their little booty boot jobs ain't nothing but a stepping stone to be stepped on and move on to something better. That's what it's all about. So by the time they're in their mid-20s, they pulling in at least $20 an hour. At least. Thinking about buying a house, if not already have one. Thinking about doing things that you could not do as a parent. Or didn't have the opportunity to do when you was a teenager. And now you're a parent. You got to give your kids the opportunity to do things. And in order to do that, there's only one way to go. And that's to be positive with these kids, around the kids 24/7 for 18 years. These are changes parents need to change, especially it's 5 times harder in a single parent family. And you had no other family support to raise that single parent family. You're looking at some hard choices, but it's been done. I know several young ladies who's done it and who is living high off the hog right now because of all the stuff they've been through. So if they could do it, you could do it. Hopefully your man will be understanding and come to your aid and help you out throughout the life of the kids. You know, and hopefully you guys could mend. What's even better is mend things up and come together and work with one another and quit the cycle of a single parent family. You know, the best thing you could do is be best friends. You know, that's what makes marriages last. You know, if you can't be best friends with the person you're with, then you know it's not going to last. You know, they got to treat you with respect, and it goes a two-way. Everything's a two-way street. And you got to understand everything and have sympathy, you know, and work with one another in order to sit down and make plans together. You have to do these things. So anyway, I'm just chopping my jaws and running my mouth, and time's going on, so put a check to what we got in the content, and believe me, there's a lot of good things in there that will help you out. You know, seeing the video is one thing, and actually reading it's even better because you use more synapses within your brain and it actually sticks into your memory bank even longer for the simple fact that you read it rather than saw it on a video. You know, so I wish the best to you and your family, and bless y'all.